Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, I hope you're doing well. And welcome back to a very wet and miserable looking Barrow Motors forecourt. On the bright side of things, we are looking at a very interesting cheap car today. One that came in part exchange. Originally, when Dan heard this, I heard him out there talking, oh, we don't want that car, we don't want that. And my ears pricked up and I thought, we want to buy everything at the right price. And I'm very glad that we did get this because I offered 1,250 quid. The customer wanted it. They came and bought an Audi A5 off of us, which was a car actually that had been sat there for a little while and I was very glad to see the back of. So hopefully this should be a winner all round. The umbrella may give it away slightly, although it didn't actually come from this car. It came from a different Mercedes Benz, but the car we're looking at today is a 2006 Mercedes ML. That looks quite a lot of car for 1,250 quid, doesn't it? I'm actually really impressed with that. When I think of old MLs, I think of them looking a lot older and kind of less glamorous than this, but I still think that's quite an attractive looking car. But before we dive into it and start checking out everything that's potentially wrong with this car, I am going to do a vehicle score check and find out what it scores from 1 to 999. So I'm going to pop our reg in, which is Delta Alpha 06 Uniform Bravo Echo, and see what our score is. 305, below average. That's not great. Let's find out why it thinks that by having a look at our score insights. On the good side, average yearly mileage is perfect. Bad bits, the vehicle's over 10 years old and mileage is over 150,000 miles. Well, I wouldn't hold that against it because we know it's an old car and we know it's got quite high mileage on it. You know it's over 150,000 miles yet, but we don't know exactly how much, so place your guesses now. This isn't a real kind of competition one, but we'll tell you in a minute. But it is over 150,000 miles. If we have a quick look at MOT history, I can see that it passed on the 26th of October 2022. So it's only got about a month's MOT left on it, so we are going to need to put one of those on there, I would have thought. I have already checked this car, so I happen to know that it is HPI clear. But if you are looking at a car that you'll want to buy or a car that you already own and would like to know a bit more about its history, you can use Vehicle Scores history checks. You can do the Ultimate Report for £8.97 or the Salvage Plus Report for only £2.97. And even better than that, if you use the code SHIFTINGMETAL15, you will get 15% off. The rain is still spitting a little bit, but it's probably not worth justifying me carrying on with this umbrella. But can we take a moment to just look at how nice this Mercedes-Benz umbrella actually is? Your latching mechanism is down here on the thumb. A Mercedes driver shouldn't have to reach up here and use some horrible bit of metal like you normally have on an umbrella. You simply press that and it closes down and latches, and if you want to open it up, you can look like Mary Poppins. I just think that's really nice. Like I say, it didn't come with this car, it actually came with the S-Class that's over there, which was another bargain buy. We bought that for £3,000 and that is lovely. So don't worry, we'll make sure we do a video on that as well. But for the sake of walking around and looking at this car, I'm going to get my umbrella out of the way and we'll see what we've bought for our £1,250. Right, admittedly, rainy weather, not the best climate to be looking at old cars, especially black ones, but we'll work with what we got. Because rain on a car, or God's polish as we call it in the motor trade, hides all the imperfections, scratches and things like that, makes it look really glossy, and there could be anything underneath that rain. So my first tip would be don't buy a car in the rain. It's always better to try and see it in the dry and good light. Our headlights could do with a bit of a polish up. They're not the worst in the world, but again, it's just one of those things that really brightens up a car. And when Jordan can do them for us, or for you even, if you were to use his services for about 60 quid, that is a well worth investment, I think. This corner and wing looks okay, I think. Fitment around the headlight and the front wing, oh, in fact, and the front bumper is a bit suspicious, I have to say. I don't quite know what's happened there, but it doesn't quite look right. It's not jumping out at you that it's awful, but definitely something's happened there. Our front tyre is a Michelin. That's nice to see. I don't know exactly which one. A Primacy, an E-Primacy. It's got reasonable tread on there, let's say 4 or 5 mil. Our alloy wheel is looking okay. There are some corrosion marks starting to come through. A little curb mark there, but not too bad. Again, it just wants a good clean. We'll try and get Jordan to clean this car at the end of this video, and we'll see how it can actually come up. I can see in these areas where it is dry, there's a few scuffs down here from where it's been driven through hedges, things like that. Pretty standard on a big car like this. But nothing major, and it would be incredibly satisfying to polish this up and make it look as shiny as that S-Class does, because that was a very similar story. Quick polish around with Jordan working his magic and it comes up pretty nice. We've got privacy glass on the back, and also it looks like we've got tints on the front, and we've got tinted Team Heiko, whatever, wind deflectors. I'm not a massive fan of wind deflectors, but they actually do serve a pretty good purpose, as we found out on the Nissan Cube, I think, that actually really does keep the wind out of the cab. So, you know, I can see a reason for doing it. Seems reasonably okay around this back quarter. We have got a bit of a scuff down here, but other than the 2 little marks here, which would dab in with a paint pen, the majority of that would polish up pretty well, I think. You can just about catch it with your nail, but I think mostly that is surface, and that is something that's transferred on rather than being scraped off. We've got another Michelin, same tyre again, same sort of tread depth on there, about 4 or 5 mil. This alloy wheel, very similar story, not bad condition at all really. Few little corrosion bubbles coming through, but for the age, you can't really be upset with that. Around the back, I'm wondering whether we've got a broken windscreen wiper, because it's just directly up like a dog's tail. Again, privacy glass, which I wouldn't be surprised if it had privacy glass and they've also tinted it, because you are very hard pressed to see through there. It may as well have a van, really. It says ML 320 on the back, but it is an ML 280, so someone's done a bit of an upgrade there. But it is the 3-litre 6-cylinder diesel engine producing about 188 brake horsepower. So, you know, it's got a bit of poke, but someone clearly wanted it to look like it was the 320, whatever that is. I don't really know. I'm not a Mercedes expert. We've got nice twin-exit exhaust, which look like a couple of letterboxes. They're quite nice. Parking sensors on the back. This corner is a bit tidier, but again, being that this side's a bit drier, you're starting to see these kind of shallow scratches where it's been through hedges and stuff. Again, going to be really satisfying to kind of polish that up. Whether we'll get a chance for Jordan to do that in this video, we might do. See how this car could actually look, how much better we can make it look. Another Michelin, again, same story. I'm starting to hope we're going to have 4 Michelins here and they're all going to have been replaced at the same time. And it's always nice to see a premium brand on. Again, alloy wheel looks good. This one's probably got a bit more curbing on it. Not a huge amount, and nothing that really stands out because it's right on the edge. But they are looking okay, to be fair. All looks pretty good down this side. Side steps are looking okay. They could do with a good jet wash, but other than that, no real issues. You can see that our power fold mirrors are folded in. That's always a good sign. And we do have a full set of Michelins, and they're all on the same sort of tread. So I think these were all changed at the same time. They've had some nice Michelin E-Primacy tyres put on here, and that is a real bonus when you've got a premium car like this, to see that someone has spent a bit of money and put decent tyres on it. So it probably means they've looked after the rest of the car as well, not on a complete shoestring budget. Then round the front, it's the same story with the other headlight. Nothing much else to report. It all looks okay as far as we can see with this rain on it. It's got a very questionable German flag badge thing. I do not approve of that. That needs to come off ASAP. Hopefully it won't have damaged the paint underneath. We can get that off. Someone's definitely been into our tow eye before. You can see where it's kind of like worn through the paint there, or flicked some paint off. They've probably put a screwdriver in order to flick it open. So it's definitely been towed at some point. Hopefully that's not indicative of anything we need to worry about. But it looks like a fairly old mark. That's not fresh, so I shouldn't worry just yet. Let's have a look inside. Right, we do have 2 keys. It's the older style Mercedes key, both of which have a lock and unlock, but don't have a boot button, which is disappointing. We'll get to why that's disappointing in a minute. I'm pretty sure that only one of these works. So that one has unlocked it, and that one won't lock it, or unlock it. Oh, it unlocks but it doesn't lock. Maybe that's what I've been noticing before. So we'll unlock it. Of course, being a Mercedes, the wing mirrors don't fold open until you open the door. We hope. Okay. Had me worried for a second there, but they are opening. Inside, we've got a half leather, half Alcantara interior, which has definitely seen some use. You can see the way the Alcantara is starting to kind of bubble up like this. I'm sure someone, probably Jordan, but we probably won't ask him to spend that much time on this, could kind of scrape that back with a razor blade, kind of buff it and fluff it back up again and make it look nice and fresh, but we probably won't bother, to be honest. It's nice that we've got electrically adjusted seats with memory. It's nice, kind of comfortable seat as well, and it's a nice driving position, as you'd expect. As an SUV, you'd expect to be up high and comfortable like this. We've got automatic lights, we've got cruise control. It looks like we got sat nav. We've definitely got heated front seats. We've got climate control. It's quite nicely spec'd, really. In our centre armrest, I seem to remember, yes, where in days gone by you would have had a mobile phone in there, there's now got a Mercedes Bluetooth receiver, and Jordan tells me that that does work very well. So for an old car, that's actually quite nice to have a bit of Bluetooth music in here. Oh, that's not very nice though. What happened there? That's detachable. That's a special feature. You got to pay extra for that. So that just slots back in like that. This is always happening. Underneath that is bits of plastic. Probably explains why that isn't working quite properly. That's irritating. You spend a lot of money on a premium car, you expect things to work, really. We're going to ask someone else to fix that, and we're just going to kind of leave it for now. We got cup holders in the middle, kind of an adjustable one, that's quite nice. This one's more of just like a cubby hole. You could get drinks in there. It looks like it is rounded out for different drink sizes. One of my pet peeves on cars, especially premium big size cars, is not having enough cup holders. You need somewhere to put your drinks. We've got our ashtray, which looks like it's been unused. I haven't got a cigarette lighter, so I can't tell you, but it doesn't smell of smoke in here, so that's definitely a bonus. I'm interested to see if we've got any history in our glove box, because there isn't any inside. All we've got inside is these two keys and a V5. Look at this. This is what we want to see. Lots of paperwork, including the original Mercedes binder. Of course, this is Mercedes, so we probably won't have a service book, will we? Oh, it does have a service booklet. That's shut me up, hasn't it? Whether there'll be any stamps in here. There is, so let's have a look through and see how many stamps. What I should say now, while we're here, and before we get into the service history, that this is on 167,000 miles, which I don't think is a lot for one of these Mercedes engines, but a bit of context when we start looking at the service history. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 from Mercedes Benz. Then we've gone to Balmoral Road Garage. So that's 5, 6, 7. It went to Rennsport. That's interesting. They do lots of Porsche stuff. And then from Rennsport, I'm going to guess it changed owners, because then it went to an In-N-Out Auto Centre. I've lost count now. I think that's 7. That was in February 22. What's the betting that was our last one? Because that was 156,000 miles. So about 20,000 miles. No, 10,000 miles ago. So I reckon that was probably our last one, but we have got some paperwork here as well, so we'll have a look at that. It's interesting to see. You very rarely get a Mercedes service book like that. We've got a receipt here for the last owner, the person we bought it from Mercedes-Benz. Replace boot latch and repair wiring. Wiring has been wet at some point and is now corroded. Looks like they've done electrical, cable connections, door lock, blind rivets. Door lock was expensive, £250. That entire bill came to £829.68. Wonder when that was. That was done last month in 2023. What's very interesting about that is the boot does not seem to work. So Mercedes-Benz charged them £800 odd to repair it, and yet again, it's not working. I don't think, anyway. I'm going to see if I can find out if there's a button on here to open the boot, but I can't seem to open it off the lock. I would assume we do have sat-nav, because here is our sat-nav disc, and we've got numerous other bits of paper, old V5s, etc. Seems like we've got all the old V5s, which is very strange. But that's good to see. We've definitely got a good bit of history, which would have been one of the things that would have let this car down. Let's have a quick look in the back, see if we can't get in the boot. So in the back, nice big comfy seats. Oh, they are super cushiony. We should have a centre armrest with a cubby hole, a bit of plastic that I don't think belongs to this car. And is there cup holders in here? Yes, there is, although they look pretty tragic unless they pop up. That's as far as they pop up. So you get a mug in there, or maybe a can, but if you had your McDonald's cup in here, especially 2 of them in the back, that's going to topple. I can tell you that for free. Got a bit of storage space in here, that looks all right. We've got controls for our blowers, and we've got a very broken looking ashtray. We've got 2 cigarette lighters down there for powering up things in the back. But it does look like we don't have rear heated seats. What a disappointment. Now we know that every other door on this car has opened. It's definitely unlocked. I've definitely got the latch there, and it does not want to open. And I wonder if that's why that has stopped there as well. Has water got into here again, and that's why it's not working? That's very irritating. You'd expect to have a button on here so you could press and hold that to open it, but we don't. I'll try pressing the unlock button on the door. Hope that that would release it, but I don't have high hopes. No. So, yeah, the boot lid doesn't work. That might now be a simple fix. Perhaps we just need to look at the wiring again. So I'll get the guys to look at that, but I still want to check out what's on the boot, so I'm going to have to climb in from the back seats. Looks like they fold down. Perhaps if I fold that up first. What have we got under the seats? Royal Marines Cadets. You can put them on you, Toby. Little Royal Marine. So obviously whoever owned this had children that went to the Royal Marines Cadets. Good on you. I wonder what's on the other side now. This is like a treasure hunt. Pick Me magazine. Start collecting all that stuff in the front. What this does demonstrate is, if you come around here, Toby, if your boot opens and you fold the seats down, you are going to have absolutely stacks of room in there for storing your stuff. One of those things that makes these SUVs super practical is not only can you fit all the family in and all your crap in the back, but you can also fold down the seats and get even more crap in if you're on your own. Right. We've got our parcel shelf. That's always good to see. We've got a nice rubber boot protector. Oh, you could camp in here, frankly. Looks like there's probably aftermarket parking sensors because you've got a little speaker up here. You wouldn't expect to see that if it was factory. We've got the original first aid kit. Look at that. Verbandtash. It's a band-aid for your moustache, just in case you were wondering. All still seems to be in there. It has been opened. So what's been taken out or put in, I don't know. Interesting. They've definitely been used. You wouldn't want to cut open a wound or anything with those, but I'm sure you could cut your bandage with them. And the other side, that's just fuses and things. Nothing exciting in there at all. We do have another cigarette lighter port in the back, which is handy, because if you could open your boot, you could put things to charge in here while you were driving. Currently you can't though, so I'm going to climb out, I'm going to put the parcel shelf back in and then fold the seats back up so everything's where it should be. That probably make things harder for the mechanic when they climb back in to try and fix it, but it's not our problem. So elegant, so poised. It's easy. Even your wife or children could do that. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Right, before we fire it up and hear how it sounds and take it for a test drive, let's pop the bonnet, we'll have a look under there, and then we can go straight out, can't we? There it is, what a beast. It's not only is it stand clear because these struts do not feel Multi-purpose umbrella. Look at that. What a bit of kit. Yeah, so not only is it a 6-cylinder, it's actually a V6, which is quite nice. It's always nice to have a 6-cylinder slash V6 when it comes to having a diesel, because it just makes it sound that little bit less agricultural. Let's check our oil. Oh, God. Someone's been at them again, tightening them up. That is very black, but not a bad condition. It doesn't look gunky. It still looks nice and viscous. I think that's the right word. But definitely I would say let's give it a service. Let's check our coolant. I don't think it's too hot. I did drive it in this morning, but it should be. Jesus! Jesus Christ, man.
Jeez! Jesus Christ.
Don't try this at home. Let's probably need some bonnet struts, don't we? I bet they'll be expensive. Are you making a list, Toby? Things we need for this car. Coolant looks okay. When I say coolant, I mean just water, because that's all that's in there by the looks of it. There's no colour to that whatsoever. They've just been topping that up with water. Now, as we look further into this, does that mean that it's got a coolant leak somewhere? Because it looks quite manky down here. I think a coolant pipe might be leaking potentially. Or is it leaking oil somewhere? The alternator looks kind of greasy and wet. And there's a coolant pipe down here. It's got a mixture of, I can't tell actually if that's oil on there or if it's a coolant leak. So we're definitely going to have to get Steph or Adrian to have a look at that for us. Hopefully it won't be anything too drastic, but that is the problem with this sort of car. You can buy them quite cheaply, but maintaining them can be the expensive part. Because although the value's gone out of the car now, the value hasn't gone out of the parts. So, and they're a complicated machine, so they're hard to work on. Right, initial thoughts on driving this is I really wish I hadn't broken this armrest, because I knew that it was driving okay before. It was okay before. It latched and it was level, but now it was just rocking away and whatever. So we'll just go without. That's probably no armrest is better than that armrest. So we'll let someone else sort that out. The second curious thing I've noticed with this is when you go to indicate, and if Toby can get it on here before we make our indicating manoeuvre, that the entire squib moves around when I indicate. So if I pull out here now and then indicate back left, keep an eye on the driver stalk. The whole thing is rocking around. I imagine there's a locating pin or something that's broken off of that. I mean, don't get me wrong, everything works. I don't know how far we're going to go with wanting to fix every minor thing on this car, because I bet you there's a load of them. But that's weird. I've not experienced that before. Our controller stalk and everything all just spins around this entire... Oh, green light. I got a feeling there might be a little bit of ball joint noise from the front. There's just a little... You almost can't really hear it, but you can feel it. Then again, I wonder how much a lower arm one of these is going to be. Probably not cheap. Seems to steer okay. No issues with the steering, anything like that. Just a little bit of a knock going on. Picks up okay. A little bit sluggish off the line, but not too bad. We haven't left the world in a cloud of smoke behind us. That's always impressive on an old diesel like this, especially on 160 odd thousand miles. We got a horse ahead. Can we cruise by quietly? Looks like quite a naughty horse, actually. Is she gonna be okay? Oh dear. She's having an argument on her phone while riding that horse. That might be part of it. Why that horse is playing up. User error. These seats are very comfortable. It's very boat-like in here, but it's also reasonably firm. You can probably hear the kind of the vibrations coming through it. It's still got quite firm suspension. but that doesn't really translate into handling. It still seems very wallowy. You almost need travel sickness pills before getting in this car, I think. Brakes seem okay, but you can't hear it so much today, but they are squeaking from the front, so I reckon we probably want some pads on the front. Maybe when we get back we'll look at the discs as well, because no, my luck, it wants discs and pads. They're working okay, but they're definitely on the squealers. Yeah, just in case you don't know, the squealers, before the days of having a thing pop up on your dashboard and saying you're having a brake wear sensor that tells you that your brake pads are going down, they used to just put in a bit of metal or something, or I don't even know what it was, but they would put it in your brake pad so that when you wore down to a certain point, it would start squeaking against the disc, and that is how you would know that you need to change your brake pads. I don't know where we're going now. Maybe we should have a look at our sat nav and see if that will tell us. We've taken a different route today. I just want the map. So, I should have... Oh, geez Louise. So that's zoom out. Oh, too far. It's a very modern looking system, this. We could come across... where are we? We could go back up to East Brent. We could go left, back through Limpshan and back around. We feel like we need a new loop these days because we're going the same loops all the time. And let's try that. Let's spin around here. Hopefully they won't mind. We're in a Mercedes after all. We're upstanding members of the community. Oh God, here comes a scaffolding lorry. If we go along here, I can show you one of my favourite local architectural designs actually, which is this chap who has bird boxes designed to look like speed cameras. I bet he's fun at parties. To be honest, I've changed my mind. I'm not going to go all the way to Limpshan because our very efficient, if slightly dated, trip computer tells us we only have 22 miles left in our tank. Not that that'd be 22 miles, but you can't ever trust these things, can you? Because we're down already to 19. Just from turning around in that corner there, we're down to 19. I've got to say though, there's not too much to complain about in here. I've tested out my heated seat. That works. The seats are comfortable. Steering feels good. It's not really making any weird noises other than the brakes. Suspension all feels good. Brakes seem all good. All right, it probably needs some pads in the front, but it doesn't feel like the discs are warped or anything like that. There's not smoke coming out. It's not making weird turbo sort of boost leak noises or anything like that. It's actually a very nice thing to drive. It does feel a little dated. It does feel like a 4x4 of the 90s / early 2000s, but you know, we should expect that really. It's not going to be a 2020 Range Rover. I think I definitely made the right call on cutting our road test short because we're now down to, well, it was 1 mile, now it's gone up to 2, now it's gone to 3. I don't highly rate this trip computer in here, to be honest. It seems to be all over the place, but either way, let's get back to the garage. We kind of need someone to check this over. We got bonnet struts. I don't know whether they're worth doing or not, but we could get a price. If they're cheap enough, it might be worth doing. We probably want to do a service on it for peace of mind. We need to have the boot looked at. Probably want to have a look at the front suspension, see what might be causing these little knocking noises. But other than that, I can't think of anything else. There probably is. Oh, we're going to need an MOT, so it probably needs a good general check over, doesn't it, for its MOT? They need to get all that sort of stuff sorted. So we'll get back to the garage. We'll see if we can't get it cleaned up, see if we can get one of the mechanics to look at it, and then hopefully it's good news, or at least not really bad news. So see you back at the garage. Right, so our Mercedes ML, Jordan's got it all cleaned up. He even did a quick kind of tickle over the headlights so they look better as well. And Adrian's had it in the workshop. He's looked at the squib, he's got that tightened up, so that's no longer an issue. He's had it on the ramp and checked what that front kind of knocking is, and we thought it might have been lower arms, but he actually can't find any play in any of the ball joints at all, but there is quite a noise there, so we're gonna just assume that it must be lower arms and we can't feel the play in them. So we'll look at getting some of those ordered. And the boot is, again, wiring, I think. This wiring that Mercedes did last month and charged the customer £830 for. He's had it opened via a handle, kind of checked it with all the diagnostics, and the SAM units kind of connecting, disconnecting. There's 3 broken wires apparently. It's quite a job to get in there and take that apart and get it working again. And really, I guess Mercedes should warrant their work. So I don't think I'm going to waste any time on getting that done, but we'll do the other bits. So I think we'll just try and sell it as is. Either you can use the manual thing to open the boot and it's a cheap 4x4, or, you know, have a cheap 4x4 and then take it back to Mercedes if you want to. The new owner should be able to do that, shouldn't be an issue. So let's have a look at what we spent. It was £1,250 for the car. I'm going to put down £10 for a valet for the chemicals, things like that. Obviously not including labour, but we'll get to that in a minute. The lower arms on the front are ridiculously expensive, £161.35 each. So that's £322.70 for a pair of arms. Obviously no labour involved in changing them. I'm doing this as if like you were doing it yourself. So that brings us to a grand total of £1,582.70. Now, let's say you'd taken it to a garage and you were paying someone else to do this. 1,250 quid for the car, £60 for a valet, £588 for them barely putting any money on the arms, and a couple of hours of labour, plus the VAT, would give you a grand total of £1,898. What I need to do is look at what I think this car is actually worth, especially with the boot not working. What are we realistically going to be able to get for it? So I'm going to head over to Auto Trader. Because it's a bit of an older car and it's quite high mileage, I'm probably going to struggle to find this via my normal valuations. So we're looking for Mercedes Benz, and scroll all the way down till we find M Class, and ours is an ML 280. Now, is it an ML 280 CDI? I imagine it probably is, even though it's badged as an ML 320. The year is 2008, and it looks like there's not going to be many of these available. There's only 6 before we even get into narrowing down the mileage. Let's look at over 125,000. Right, we've got a silver one on 135,000 miles, and that is up for £4.5 grand. We've got a black one that's pretty much looks identical to ours on 134,000 miles, and that is 3,995. So ours is on even more mileage, and the boot doesn't work. So I don't know. Sophie's pretty good at getting good money for stuff, but I think maybe 3,250. Does that sound fair, Toby? Do you think that's reasonable? It's quite a nice car. It's high mileage, but you might get 3,250 out of someone, if not 3,000. But let's just say 3,250 theoretically. I'm now going to have to do some calculations. So we'll take our 3,250 and we'll minus off our 15,870. That would give us a very nice profit of £1,667.30 versus if we were paying someone else to do the work, minus our 1,898 would give us £1,352. You still wouldn't sneeze at it, would you? So let's have a quick look at what our return on investment would be. 1,582.70 is what we've invested. The amount we will have returned, hopefully, will be 3,250, which means our return on investment is 105.35%. Very nice. We've earned more money than we've invested once again. But one thing I haven't done in previous videos, and people have said about the actual costs of doing this as a business, etc. Let's talk about the VAT that I'll have to pay as well. So I would have £1,667.30 of profit, but I'm also going to have to pay 16.5-ish%. That's probably not quite right. All the accountants will jump in here and tell me I'm slightly wrong. But on the £2,000, the difference between the £1,250 that we originally paid for the car, never mind what we spent on it in the meantime, and what we sell it for, which would be £3,250. There's a £2,000 margin there, times 16.5% is £330. So you've got to knock 330 quid off of that as well. Brings us down to £1,337.30 net profit. Kind of, because I haven't taken any labour accounts into there or whatever. But you're getting the idea. I'm just trying to explain some figures here, basically. 1,600 and odd pounds or whatever is not actually what I'm going to take home because I've still got to pay the VAT on it. Let me know in the comments if you want me to break that down differently in future, whether you want to know exactly what it cost me and exactly what I'm going to make, or if you prefer to hear it as what you might be able to make if you were doing this at home, getting into the motor trade and trying to fix up a car and sell it, or both. I will try and do both. I could try and work out exactly what I'm going to get net at the end of it, my labour costs, etc, etc. It's a bit more complicated, I'll be honest with you, it's going to take more time, but if you want it, I'll do it. On that note, I hope you really enjoyed the video. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and we will see you in the next video.